Welcome back to Game 2. This is CEVO Season 4. CNB eSports going up against Bag of Chips and Pepperoni, who could not manage to finish it up in time before this Naga just took off. And I gotta say, we gave so much attention to Naga, but gotta give some credit to Ned. He played such a good Sand King that game, especially in that last fight. He jumped in there and everybody just took a huge beating. So he had some really well-timed ultimates, and on top of that, he was pushing out the lanes. He got decent enough farm, so we saw that early Blink Dagger out of him, which helped out a lot too.
I mean, the thing is, the Naga Siren, just implicitly by the way the hero works, if you build her as a general carry, eventually she'll do that. And you can immediately see Bag of Chips and Pepperoni does ban out the Naga. But the thing with the Sand King is, a Sand King is not implicitly going to be valuable. You have to play him right for him to be valuable. Whereas a Naga Siren carry, eventually she's going to be valuable just implicitly. You can get the newest player in the world on her. All she has to do is walk around and auto attack at a certain point. You know what I mean? Like, there are levels of skill on the Naga Siren, but it's easier to have the game impact that she had than it is to have the game impact that Ned had. So, gotta give him credit where credit is due. For those of you just tuning in, game number 1 was a 55-minute slugfest. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You can catch me on Twitter at GotCowDota, and I'm joined by Prove. You can find at ProveDota. So we're going to jump into the draft. What are you seeing here so far, Proof?
Well, Invoker's picked up. That's always exciting. And then in response, Bat Rider's also picked up. So great team fight out of the Invoker. Nyx is also great for sneaking around and dealing with any supports. But I feel like Nyx, anybody that usually plays Nyx, they have the problem of just being in bad spots a lot. You look for those crucial pickoffs. You roam in the woods looking for kills as well. And sometimes it just gets you into a really bad situation.
Yeah, it certainly can. And both these teams actually going for a pretty heavy rotation-based squad. Invoker, not a hero who's going to stay still for too long. He's a bit of a rolling stone. Bat Rider and Visage, both rolling stones themselves. And, of course, the Nyx Assassin, who wants to get that 6 and then move in 4 kills as quickly as he really can. So this should be another active game. I don't see the action really falling off with these picks anytime soon.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Bat Rider, when he hits that level 6, level 7, has a Blink Dagger, if he can get it farmed up early enough, you see such early rotations out of them that you're almost guaranteed to have an action-packed game when a Bat Rider is picked up. And then on top of that, Visage has pretty decent movement as well with Visage familiars to kind of roam around on top of that. But the bans here, we do have Ember Spirit, Centaur, Luna, all taken out. Glad to see Ember isn't going to make an appearance in this game. He's such a very difficult hero for a lot of teams to deal with. But for Bag of Chips and Pepperoni, we have that Naga banned out like you mentioned. And then Lycan, another push hero, also banned out. Clockwork and AA.
Yeah, Bag of Chips and Pepperoni does look like they're trying to get rid of the popular carry ideas for CNB, but also it does seem like they're trying to mitigate a little bit of the potential push coming out of CNB so that Bat Rider, Visage, and presumably some additional gank workers can make it happen through the mid game without worrying about losing towers while they do so. So Disruptor is going to be picked up here by CNB, which is an interesting choice considering the Ember Spirit is banned, and Ember Spirit's banned, there's not a Weaver on the table, there's not a Clockwork on the table. Clockwork's also banned out, in fact. A lot of the heroes that Disruptor really hurts are not either in play or not going to be played.
I agree. It is interesting that he's picked up because Disruptor's not an insanely popular hero. You know, he's usually picked up in response to something later on in the draft. So getting picked up third, I guess CNB has something in mind, and maybe it's just that team fight potential. If you trap them in, they're silenced, they're stuck in the ring, and that allows Invoker to throw out a lot of AoE damage on top of that. So I guess it gives you a lot of team fight potential, but other than that, it's definitely not in a response. It could fear off some picks that Bag of Chips and Pepperoni might have done, but for the most part, it looks like they're just gearing up for some decent team fight out of them.
Yeah, the team fight so far. Do you think that this is going to be Quaswex, or do you think this is going to be Exort? Because both work really well with the Disruptor, and it's hard for me to determine right now what it looks like they're going to be doing.
I like the Sunstrike build. I think it's better. It's better earlier on, I guess. And with Disruptor and Nyx, people are going to be standing still for the most part. So if you can have that global presence early on, you stay in your lane, you Sunstrike other lanes, you're always there to help out your team. And I think it just helps out a lot earlier on. But it's really up to the preference of the players and then also what they're going to be up against. So at this point in the game where we only see 2 picks from Bag of Chips and Pepperoni, I don't think we can tell too much into what he might go into.
So here's the other thing with an Exort style Invoker that is important to keep in mind. Right now, CNB does not have a lot of tower siege, and there isn't a lot of the tower siege that they would try to go for is being banned out. That Exhort will get the Forge Spirits up and give them the ability to start pushing down towers around 7 to 9 in terms of levels, which right now they don't have the ability to do that. At best, they're going to slow siege towers if they take a couple of really good engagements back to back. But for the most part, they don't have a way to really knock anything down. Bag Chips and Pepperoni in a similar boat, by the way. Their Visage gets the Familiars at 6, and that gives a little bit of tower damage, but Sand King, not so much. Bat Rider, not so much. It looks like both squads are picking for their hero engagements and not, at least at the moment, considering too heavily what they're going to be doing in terms of sieging down buildings.
Yeah, it's definitely a totally different draft scene than what we saw last game, where both teams kind of went into pushing towers down. So I like this. You're going to see some really big team fights coming out. And the issue with team fights is that it comes down to those small mistakes that people make, especially support heroes. So, you know, things like Disruptor landing his ultimate correctly, Sand King landing his ultimate correctly, Visage getting the familiars down in the right spots at the right times and stacking them on top of each other. So it's definitely, I think, a little more exciting seeing these just huge clashes that we're going to see. And I think it's going to be clashes earlier on, too. With that Bat Rider, with the Nyx, especially if he can get that experience up faster. And, well, it looks like he's not going to be in the offlane, though. So this looks to be a support Nyx. So maybe he's not going to get too much of a level advantage early on.
Yeah, he'll probably just come in and try to make sure that he's able to move around 12 minutes. Bristleback is going to try to get some basic farm up. But in terms of farm, Bag Chips and Pepperoni kind of already pushing the greedy envelope. They need a Blink Dagger on Sand King and a Blink Dagger on Bat Rider, both of whom usually do it by going in and stacking the jungle. Only one of them is going to be able to do that at a time, which means that their initiation cascade is going to be pushed off almost twice as long. So instead of that Bat Rider being able to come in around between 8 and 12 minutes with his Blink Dagger and start engaging along with the rest of his team, now we're looking at Bat Rider getting his Blink Dagger probably between 8 and 12, Sand King getting his Blink Dagger closer to 20, and that could really, really be devastating for Bag Chips and Pepperoni as they're looking at an extremely aggressive potential out of CNB eSports.
And the jungle is just going to be a hot spot this game for Bag Chips and Pepperoni. Doom's going to be in there eating creeps. Sand King would like to stack and farm that with a Sandstorm. And then Bat Rider, if he has a really crappy time earlier on, he can just stack the jungle and do 3 camps at once. So it gets really, really crowded with that Doom pickup. And I agree, it might be a little bit of a greedier lineup for a Bag of Chips. They've got to make sure they get their crucial core items up on a lot of these heroes, though. Whereas CNB, Nyx, and Disruptor, obviously items are great on them, but they have such good spells that they're okay. They don't need that quick Blink Dagger like an SK and a Bat Rider do.
I don't know why the Doombringer is coming out here. Doom is not particularly scary for any of these heroes except maybe the Nyx Assassin. Yeah, he's a pain to the Invoker, but generally not super frightening. In addition, his base armor is so low it rounds down to 0 in the beginning of the game. And Bristleback is going to be pumping out a ton of physical damage with that Quill Spray. If they do decide to end up running that Bristleback up against the Doom in a one-on-one situation with that Doom in the off lane, which they very well could with the Drow Ranger coming out, that Doom is not going to get any sort of farm whatsoever. So he has got to hope. This is a rare situation where Doombringer is going to be hoping to go up at 1 versus 3.
Interesting draft for CNB. The Drow Ranger picked up as their carrion. I like it. I think it's a little off for a lot of teams to pick up Drow, but I think it's going to work all right. She's going to get protected greatly from the Nyx and the Disruptor. And if you can get farm and get her kind of tanked up a little bit more, I think she's going to be right. And Bounty Hunter picked up in response to that a hero that can sneak around and try to get Drow out of the fight and also prevent her aura from coming into play if you can get right next to them. So we'll see how this plays out.
I feel like Bag of Chips and Pepperoni, their draft is great at starting shit that they can't finish. Like they're going to be writing a lot of checks that they can't cash, and it's really a big concern for me moving in. Bounty Hunter's going to pop out of nowhere. Bat Rider's going to grab somebody with the lasso. You know, Visage is going to be in there throwing out the soul assumptions. And unless that huge epicenter lands, as soon as all that stuff kind of wears down and the shock of it wears off, CMB's still going to be at half health for most of their heroes, throwing out those Quill Sprays, and Drow's going to be doing intense damage, not to mention the reinitiation if that is a Quas Wex Invoker from the Tornado EMP. Bag Chips and Pepperoni have to play this extremely, extremely coordinated in order to have a good chance at this game.
Yeah, in addition to that, you have a tri-lane that's going to have 2 melees in it. Granted, you do have quite a bit of stun once the Doom picks up a creep, and then you have the Visage Slow, Rarsum who can stun with his own spells as well. But I don't know if there's enough damage there on top of that to get the kill on Bristleback. I don't know if it's enough, but Top River almost gets spotted out. See Nasty almost gets spotted out. Throws down the ward there. It's going to protect him quite well in this lane, and he's going to need it. He's going to have to make sure his positioning's all right. Otherwise, I think he can get picked off pretty easy here.
Yeah, that ward is a great ward for defensive play. It gives you vision all in this area that I'm highlighting right now, plus a little bit of vision down here, which is basically every path that would be taken to gank you. But more importantly than that, that's going to give him plenty of vision so that he can come around here and just leech experience. Because if they are going to wrap around, he'll know it in advance. And that's the key to this war. Bounty Hunter as an offlaner is so good at reducing his opponent's experience just because he's able to leech that camp and take away a third of anything they might be getting.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want to block that camp. You know, most offlaners, you want to block that camp, but he's happy to let that camp get pulled. He can sneak around, make sure that he's in a good position, and if there's sentries laid down, he could potentially be into trouble, but it's going to mean that Drow will have to come away from the creep kills and participate in that kill. So either way, I feel like it's a win-win for that Bounty Hunter. He's soaking up experience. He might die, but I think he's going to be all right.
He's going to be turned around on by that invisible disruptor who's got about 20 seconds left to make a move. See, Nasty sees something going on because of his ward. He knows they're moving in on him. What he doesn't know is that disruptor is there. There's going to be the glimpse pulling him back. The Impale is ready, but he's saving it. There goes the Impale. The Dust goes out just in case. Now the auto attack's coming out. The slow coming from the Drow. He's going to try to shoot his way through, but Drow's going to meet him in the way. And Drow getting the first blood. What, 50 seconds into this game? That is not a good start for Bag Chips and Pepperoni.
They were ready for that. They had the dust ready to go. The only thing was that Bounty Hunter did not expect an Invis rune picked up. And as a result of this ward protecting Bounty Hunter, they had nothing in this top lane. So they knew that there was a rune on the top lane. They just didn't know what it was exactly. And unfortunately for that Bounty Hunter, it was an Invis rune. Had no idea the disruptor was there and gets picked off. And the kill going to Drow on top of that. So a great start already for Drow. Gonna harass down the Bounty Hunter with the Frost Arrows. Tower does not care, does not get aggroed since it's a castable spell like that. Mid lane, Jenkins up against the Invoker. Who wins this lane?
Invoker is going for that Exhort, which is going to make it very difficult for the Bat Rider to deal with for the first, say, 5 levels or so. But then after that, the actually not having the Wex and not having that EMP is going to help that Bat Rider out a lot. So Bat Rider probably not going to win the lane by any stretch of the imagination, but because he's in this lane and able to stack these camps and knock them down, he's also not going to lose it. Basically, they're betting that getting farm on the Bat Rider is going to do more for them than getting farm on the Invoker is going to do for their opponents.
Oh no. See Nasty's in trouble once again. He gets dusted on as well on top of that. He's trapped in. They don't even need to use any mana. Throws out the stun to stop the TP though. They probably couldn't even have gotten that kill without the stun. I think there was enough damage there to kill him before the TP went through, but yeah. Really rough lane for a Bounty Hunter. He's going to be sitting at low levels for the better part of this early game, I think. Soaking up experience on the bottom lane is going to be Tavo. Runs in, has no fear whatsoever. Maybe had run in a little too far. They shouldn't get the kill, though. He's pretty tanky. Even at level 3, he should be able to run away from this, but oh... There's no more damage from the Soul Assumption. Waiting for that next stun to come out from Rarsum, and he's going to have it. We'll see if he can solve up in time. He can! Solve saves the day once again.
So Tavo did have to stop throwing out the Quill Sprays there, and that probably saved his life. He ran his mana pool down into the ground. But the damage coming out of those Quill Sprays, while it would have potentially been a deterrent, would also filled up that Soul Assumption enough to kill him again. So it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, because it is the natural inclination of a Bristleback to be hitting that W over and over again, as Disruptor is going to get that Bounty Hunter again. Oh dear.
This is
Can't flash away from this lane for a second. Yeah. Here's the thing with the Bounty Hunter as an offlaner that a lot of people just don't keep in mind. He does not have alternate means of getting farm. He's going to potentially move on Ned here. Ned's getting pretty low. He wants revenge. No, he ends up going on Disruptor instead. Grabs himself a kill. That's going to help a lot.
That was aggressive. Yeah. Oh, he gets the tower denied too, so a little bit of payback.
So this could actually be good for the Bounty Hunter, the fact that this tower went down and was denied. This being the second least important tower in the game, the Radiant side offlane tier 1. Now he's going to move on Ned, being aggressive again. He wants vengeance. Ned does not have to spike Carapace. But the slow comes out of the Drow. There's going to be the stun. Disruptor's back. There's going to be a glimpse if they need it. He's not going to be able to go anywhere. The Thunder Strike is hitting him. There's the Vision. Invoker is going to pause. And yeah, this Bounty Hunter is dead. The auto attacks are en route. Tactical pause. Just to
exactly. It's not like it's a huge tactical pause. I mean, C Nasty was definitely dead. Even if he tried to run to the tower to deny the gold to the Drow, he was still dead. He can't catch up to Ned. Ned's juking around the trees. One more strike from that Thunder Strike, or even just a right-click attack from Disruptor will secure. So
there are 3 things en route right now that will kill him. And the first one to land is Disruptor's auto attack. So
4 deaths in 4 minutes. Definitely not a good start for a Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, and what I was going to say is Bounty Hunter, unlike a lot of off-laners, he's got really no jungle presence whatsoever. He's got no ability to jungle on his own, especially at low levels, which means he has no way to catch up unless he's given a lane by somebody like Doom, which will slow down the farm of every single one of his allies. Bristleback as an offlaner, for example, is going to be able to go in and use that Quill Spray and at least get something out of the jungle. Bounty Hunter can't really do that. He can chew his way into the trees and then pull himself a little bit of a cheeky move where he attacks the creeps one at a time, but he still doesn't have the damage output to take them down quickly enough to make it worth his time.
Yeah, he can only sap experience, but the good thing about Bounty Hunter, though, is that he doesn't need farm. So if he's against an aggressive lane like this, he just needs to get that experience where he can. And then once he gets level 6 or 7, he can easily start rotating and helping out other lanes. But right now, he's not doing his team any favors by staying up here and dying, and he could find himself in a sticky spot once again as Ned sneaks around. They do have sentry wards, dust, they have everything ready to fire off. Ooh, I thought a glimpse was going to come out there. It still could. Oh man, I don't think they could see him in time though. The sentry ward was out of range.
Yeah, they dropped that sentry really, really close to their other one just because they were trying to get exactly enough space to get that Bounty Hunter. Honestly, they probably could have just come forward a little bit and dropped it here and had themselves complete anti-Bounty Hunter zone for the next 3 minutes from all the way down here to all the way up here. But as it turns out, Bounty Hunter, and this is what I was about to say also earlier, if we do have some lulling going on in the mid lane, but we don't, as Ned is going to rotate down, potentially grab himself an Invis rune, and then rotate into the mid lane. So I'll come back to this if it ever comes up again, as we could see the Impale go out on Jenkins here. The Courier could be grabbed as well. There's going to be the Impale. Jenkins is going to take very lot of damage, and he's going to be hit by that Spike Carapace. It's not going to be enough to buy the time, though. He is out of mana, however, thanks to him spending all of his spells and also getting hit by that big fat mana burn. So, this is what I was going to say. Taking down this early tier 1 tower, if you're on the Radiant side, can... Oh, never mind. We're going to see... Geez, I cannot get this point out as Ned.
There's no time, Gorgon.
The crabs are fighting.
They are. Battle. There's a lot of anger between them.
All right. Do we have a moment? Okay. Here's all I want to say. Not the super important tower. Get the deny. You don't give a lot of gold up. But what does happen is exactly what we're seeing. Everybody from this lane on your opponent's side starts to fade away. You get rotations coming out of the supports. The farming carry doesn't go out as far usually, which means the Bounty Hunter basically gets a safe lane from that point forward. For this entire range, he's got basically free farm, whereas opponents are not going to go into that zone. So yeah, it costs them a tower, not an important tower, and they got the deny. I'd say them losing that tower could potentially end up having been a much, much more important gain for them than loss.
Yeah, that's true. I would agree with that. And the game seems to be telling that same story too, since C Nasty is able to get his levels up, and he does hit level 6 now. He also has a bottle, so he has that potential to pick up some runes and then rotate to the mid lane to try and deal with that Bat Rider. And he catches Disruptor out here. Disruptor does see him, throws out the dust. He can even glimpse him back to allow Drow to get back here in time. He's trapped in. Drow's there as well. This looks bad for C Nasty. Gonna go throw out an Invoker Sunstrike just to secure the kill.
C Nasty has got to be I mean, he was already raging at the end of last game. I don't know if you saw the chat.
Yeah,
he was yelling at Nagasai and like, oh, you must be such a player or something like that. And now he comes in and immediately goes down 1 and 5 in the first 7.5 minutes.
He's got the action on the board. He's the deaths and he's the kill. That's all that's happened this game.
His net worth is not even 400 above where he started the game. He's literally negative net worth if you consider the amount of gold that he should have been getting just from income.
It's rough. It's a rough game for a little old bounty hunter.
And the Ancient Stacks are being taken out by Tavo, who's trying to get some of his farm back up. Yeah, the Bristleback, just to compare how these off lanes are going, Bristleback bounty hunters. His level is not that far ahead, fortunately, but getting some basic items on that Bristleback, all you need is a little bit of survivability, and suddenly the world becomes a very scary place for Bag of Chips and Pepperoni. Oh, Drow Ranger has been tracked, and Rarsum is scouting him out. Now, 40R knows something's going on, because he did get body blocked there by Rarsum, who is invis, and he is going to branch off. Not confident. He's really thinking about going at it, though. He keeps stutter stepping and turning around. Like he's looking at a long-lost lover or something that he's afraid he'll never see again. It's like, I have the opportunity. Why isn't Bounty Hunter here and ready to kill? But Bounty Hunter desperately needs to catch up. Desperately.
Oh, yeah, he's got a lot to make up for it, but I think he'll have the time. I'm not really too worried. If there's a hero in the game that is a comeback hero and a comeback hero for a team in general, it's Bounty Hunter. You can easily get back into the game with track kills, and we've yet to see that happen, but it will start happening pretty soon, especially since Jenkins does have that Blink Dagger finished up now. He's almost level 9 on top of that, so we could easily see some Jenkins, C-Nasty, rotations coming down, and start really securing the kills. And the other lanes have been fine. Doom has been farming bottom just fine. The Blink Dagger was up, you know, around 8-9 minutes for that Bat Rider, so he did fine in his lane on top of that. So it was just C-Nasty's lane that was a whiff.
Yeah.
Bottom lane, no, they're not going to catch Rarsama. I thought maybe they were going to see him. They do not see the Disruptor.
They do see him now.
Yeah, they do. He could get glimpsed here. Oh, that was
They might
close.
just dive the tower. They've got a Bristleback. Yeah, he's going to dive in, throw those Quills. Quills are not going to switch the aggro of the tower. Now Rarsum is forced all the way back from the tower, and he's already taking huge damage because he got 3 stacks on him. He's taking about a fifth of his health every single hit. He throws out the stun, but the Sunstrike is there! Oh, poor Rarsum. He did so well. And then Invoker grabs a tower and a life in a one fell swoop.
That's just the power of Sunstrike. A hero's gonna get away? Nope. Sunstrike is there. Same with AA. A hero's gonna get away? Nope. AA Blast is there. Now, top lane, Ned looking to get a pick off on Shredder. Sees the courier instead. Oh, he almost gets it. Just barely loses vision of it. He's gonna chase it down. There's no tower here, so he's gonna keep on chasing. Vendetta has enough time for him to get there. There he goes. Tower, or rather, courier is gonna be down. Sneaks out of there. Nobody's gonna be able to catch up to him. Jenkins is hoping to with the Firefly. He might be able to. One more blink ought to do it. Sunstrike is trying to spot out where Ned is actually going, but actually gets the kill on Visage in the process. He's forced back up now. Gets doomed out by Shredder. I'm sorry, Bristle gets doomed by Shredder, and he's going to be able to get this.
Meanwhile, Bat Rider finally caught up to Ned and made him pay, but honestly, was it too much of a hassle as the Doombringer's coming in now? Jenkins does not have a lasso, nor does he have a Firefly for another 8 seconds. He does have a Blink Dagger. He's going to come in after the Disruptor. He will actually grab the Disruptor. Very, very nice play coming out of Jenkins. They're now going to move on, try to get this Invoker, but Invoker's pumping out way too much damage. He's Exhort. He's not Quaswex. You guys have to back off. The Drow Ranger's got that slow, too. Jenkins will not be able to get away here. There's going to be the pushback coming out, and Invoker is going to narrowly get away as Ned comes in, grabs that Bounty Hunter. Now he's going to move on Newsham. Newsham is going to throw out that Soul Stone to grab himself a kill before he goes down. This is like a Shakespeare play. This is like the end of Hamlet. Everybody dies.
That's what happens when you have these team fight lineups. Everybody can indeed die in a game like this. But what a fight. It lasted so long. Doombringer gets glimpsed back into the fight and results in his own death. And then Drow was just way too close to the action. Needed to be a little farther back, but had to run in to get some kills, but couldn't get out, and Firefly just ate her alive.
Yeah, this was, I don't know, trouble. And CNB is absolutely dominating. They're 5,000 gold in the lead at about 12 minutes, which is a pretty steep lead to have already. Certainly by no means, you know, the end of the game. Certainly not that game-winning lead, especially when you have track kills potentially catching you back up. But that's a very nice place to be for CNB. They've got the Drow Ranger, who's going to be pumping out a lot more damage than the Doombringer through the mid-game. And they both went for the Midas, but honestly, I think that feeds out to the Drow Ranger a lot better than to the Doombringer, who... Drow Ranger's gets a lot more out of high levels than Doombringer does because of the extra agility and marksmanship, which pumps her damage so significantly, as well as her survivability. So that Midas not only gives her gold, but gives her levels that are more useful than the Doom's levels.
Yeah, it definitely helps her team out more as a whole too, especially on someone like Invoker. It's absolutely great for Invoker. And Doombringer, it's a little more selfish when he gets to farm. He's not going to help his team out a whole lot. But he is going to build into the mech, which will, in fact, actually help his team. But I have to agree with you that I think Drow's had such a great early game, and this early experience and early farm is really going to help her out. She's sitting at level 11. They smoke up, but C Nasty spots out the smoke. They know to back up now. We'll see if they can back up in time. C Nasty hanging out nearby, just making sure that Shredder is not going to need any help, and that's the end of it. That smoke was completely thwarted, but it is going to transition into erosion, but there's a ward here. It's going to spot them out doing it, and there's enough heroes nearby for CVP that I think they can go in on it. This Roshan is not going to go down fast enough. They've got to make their move, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, CBP, they can't really engage on this. They don't have their basic items up yet because, A, that courier was killed, and B, there's just not that much farm. Now there is going to be the kinetic field, but it will miss. Batrider taking a bit of damage, but he's got a haste rune, so he should be fine. Rarsum coming back, getting ready to defend the base. Now Jenkins going to come in with the haste rune, try to grab himself somebody. Anybody before it ends up. He's going to blink in. He's ready. He does end up picking out the Invoker from the tail of goodies, but he goes down before he gets anywhere. Soul Assumption goes out on 4DR. 4DR getting extremely low. There's going to be the Sand King coming in. He's trying to get the epicenter off. He does. 1 down, 2 down. We also see the Drow Ranger coming back up as the Invoker is tanking the tower. He's going down to the Visage Familiars. The extra damage coming out on him. He will be going down. It looks like one more auto attack is going to secure that. Meanwhile, the Doombringer is going to be down here as Tavo dives the tower, throwing out those quills. And wow, Bounty Hunter getting away with 20 health. But this is going to be a free tower for CNB as well as several heroes. And all it costed was an Aegis that was free. So I'd say that's a pretty nice engagement for them.
Oh yeah, they're winning these engagements any which way you spin it. Even if you lose the Invoker, it is okay. Your Drow staying in there. She's getting farm. She's sitting at 2, 1, and 7 at this point, so she's been in a ton of fights. Her net worth is up there with Invoker, and Doom and Batrider cannot really compete with that at this point. And I really feel like Drow is just going to snowball this game, and CEVP is not going to be able to deal with it. Already they have an 8k gold advantage, an XP advantage too, and about the 7k range. So they're definitely taking this game by storm. It's going to take some really well-placed team fights out of CBP, but they need the farm, first of all, to catch up to that. And this smoke gank might just do it for them. Drow's in the woods all alone. Not too many heroes nearby, but there's 3 towers that can come to her rescue, but she's not incredibly tanky, so if they can secure it fast enough. But no, she backs up. She knows they're coming.
I think she just ran out of farm, actually. She was up there. There was nothing there for her. She cleared out all 3 of these camps, and now she's just going to go down and farm the Ancients. It was just coincidence that she happened to be walking out as they were walking in. But here's the thing. Remember during the draft, I was saying there's really just no follow-up for CBP. The only person they have doing damage right now is probably the Doom, maybe the Bounty Hunter. They're going to be able to start these fights, but not going to be able to finish them. Something along those lines. Well, that's exactly what we see happening. But on top of that, everybody on CBP is behind, and the Doombringer, the only damage-dealing hero that they really have at this stage of the game, went for a mechanism. So he's pumping out negligible damage. The amount of actual output that Bag of Chips and Pepperoni has is maybe equal to 2 of CNB's heroes. As a whole team, as a 5-man squad, they're pumping out maybe the same amount of damage of CNB's middle 2 heroes, like the Bristleback and the Invoker, not even including the Drow Ranger. And basic farm, the Batrider is the only person who has up basic farm at this moment with the Blink Dagger and doesn't even have upgraded boots, going straight for the Force Staff, doesn't even have that yet. 3 heroes on Bag of Chips and Pepperoni don't even have upgraded brown boots yet at 17 minutes.
Yeah, Shredder's getting the farm, and he just kind of got forced into that. Hold on, he's in some trouble, so is Nusham, and now Tavo in the backfield. The Quills are just going to eat him alive. Doom does go out on Bach, but it's not going to be enough as 40R just didn't hit him to pieces. Shredder doesn't stand a chance. Gets glimpsed back, but they didn't even need it. He was dead regardless. But I was going to say, he got forced into it. Visage is forced to buy the wards this game because you've got to get that Blink Dagger up on SK. So when it comes down to it, there was really nobody else that was getting a farm that didn't need a more important item. So Doom had to get that mech. Like, it was the only option for them. Otherwise, Sand King was going to have to buy the wards. Visage could have gotten the mech, but then that meant that Sand King's Blink Dagger was going to be really, really late. And he almost does have it at this point.
And it's just a flaw with the draft. They drafted no damage, and now they're being punished for it. They've got no way to take anything out. And the Drow Ranger is very, very capable. With a marksmanship level 2 and a precision aura level 4, towers crumble, especially with the Exhort Invoker, which is also there. As I said, we have the Forge Spirits and the extra damage. Invoker is hitting already in this game, not even 20 minutes, over 200 damage a pop. Drow Ranger, same deal, about 250 damage a pop. Bristleback is throwing out those quill sprays and stacking up 4 or 5 over the course of a battle, and these are prolonged battles if Bag Chips and Pepperoni even manage to hold their own for long enough for the Bristleback to even do anything. They're just so far behind. They're now about 12,000 gold back.
Yeah, it's going to be a really rough game. They have just like a really great rotation and gank heavy lineup, but they can't do that at this point just because of the laning stage in the earlier part of the game. They didn't get the farm they need, so they can't rotate on heroes because these heroes are just way over farmed. And they just can't pick anybody off. But TP's come to the mid lane. Now, Glimpse back is going to be doomed right into the Static Storm. That's going to be some trouble for Shredder. Look at him just get bursted down so quickly from that Static Storm. 40R wasn't even the bulk of that damage there. It was the other 4 heroes out of CNB.
Yeah, that was basically a visual metaphor for this entire game. As soon as Bag and Chips and Pepperoni feel like maybe they've gotten any sort of positive act, like that wasn't even, oh, Doombringer got something good to happen. That was like, oh, Doombringer didn't get wrecked. And that was going to be the best news they'd had in a while. Glimpse, back, silence, wrecked. So I just don't think there's anything Bag Chips Pepperoni can do at this point. Honestly, I just don't see their pathway. I have trouble visualizing the stairway to success for them. It's just not coming to me. I don't know. What do you think?
You would think it's the Bounty Hunter, but even if the Bounty Hunter gives them farm, it first of all has to be a lot of farm that he gives them. Second of all, what is the end goal? Like, if you give the farm to the team, you could do that, yes, but it's a Doom. Can Doom even go up against Drow and Invoker? And I think the answer is no. But as I say that, Jenkins pulls back Invoker right into the frame of everybody. Firefly is just eating them alive. Ned goes down in the process as well. Rarsman gets picked off, and now 40R is in some trouble. He's stuck here. Tavo is doomed out, so he's not going to provide any spells for 40R. They're going to try and run out. He's quite fast with that Yasha, rather, but it's not going to be enough. Track is applied. That's going to be some money going the way of them. And now Tavo is in some trouble. C-Nasty has 5 seconds left on the track. And they're just going to wait for it. There goes the track. They can apply it now. That's 2 track money, probably even more. I'm sure there was a track on Invoker or Ned in that fight as well.
That was a huge misplay out of Bristleback. As soon as the Doom came off, he could have mech'd. He had some damage on himself. Would have given him the armor. Would have given Drow the armor. Would have given Drow the life. And they could have turned around and 2-manned that. Almost certainly. Everything had already been blown for Bag Chips and Pepperoni. With the sustain, I mean, by himself, Bristleback almost killed 3 of those 4 heroes. By himself. Imagine if Drow had the extra health coming out of that mech and the extra armor. 250 health on a Drow Ranger is huge. That's enormous. The amount of armor, she has 20 armor. She's reducing more than half the damage coming at her as physical, and there is no magical damage left. I don't know. That was a really unnecessary trade-off going the way of Bag Chips Pepperoni. But to be fair to CNB, that only brings them down to a 10,000 gold lead. So they can afford to trade some of those off.
I mean, it's scary. You had 3 or 4 heroes marching towards you. You only have 2 of your own heroes. The natural instinct would be to back up, but I agree. They might have been able to fight that out and not lose so many heroes.
Even if they just wanted to back out, like the mech should still have been used before the Drow Ranger went down. But actually, the opposite happened. What ended up happening there was the Bristleback dove in to try and buy the Drow Ranger. Space Nasty. It's going to go down here to the bottom. That global initiation of the Vendetta plus the Sunstrike, instant death for any support who happens to wander outside of his base. But yeah, Bristleback turned around and dove in with the mechanism still on off of cooldown before saving up that Drow. Even if he wanted to do that, while you're in range of the Drow, heal the Drow up so that you know he'll get away. He ended up trading off both heroes, and it's just, I don't know, it felt really sloppy. Fortunately for them, they have plenty of slop available in terms of they've got a very, very deep trough, is all I'm saying. They can be little piggies all they want. They can be greedy, they can be out of place, and they'll still feel fine. Even in the late game, it's hard to imagine CBP's lineup really desolating CNB as long as CNB plays with at least a fraction of a brain on their shoulders.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a rough lineup for them to go up against. Unless we just see some crazy team fights go in the way of CVP. All of those having maybe 2 or 3 kills being track gold on top of that. Then we might see a CVP come back. But otherwise, it's going to be a difficult game for them to pull out a win. And they've got to. CNB took the first game, so they've got to win this game if they want to try and force a game 2 or game 3. But they're the underdogs this game against CNB. CNB has had a great run in CEVO thus far, and CVP, I think they're sitting at even at this point, sitting at 8-8. So it's a rough matchup for them.
Yeah, this is rough. Yeah, it's just like, what do you do if you're... Yeah, they might get rid of a pick off here on Ned because he's playing so aggressively. But he feels like he can play so aggressively. He's laughing all the way to the grave there. He's like, yeah, I can dive in and just die, and there's nothing you can do about it. The Blink Dagger is up on Sand King and has been up for a couple minutes. Boots of Travel did land on Jenkins, so he is going for that good old Bone 7 style build. We'll see the Mask of Madness come out next. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm typically like to pride myself in trying to find a route of victory for the underdog in the match, for when you're behind, trying to figure out what you've got to do in order to get back in, especially as a caster where you can see everything and you have a clear head. But I'm panicking for them, and I'm the caster.
You can't be panicking. You can't do that, Gorgon. Clear your head. Just deep breaths. It's going to be all right. Now let's just think about this. So for CVP, track gold is great. Team fights is what they need for sure. They're getting aggressive with the pushes here, and Roshan is up. If they can contest this Roshan, I think they'll have their foot back in the door. Glimpse comes back onto Disruptor, but he still has Firefly up, so he's going to be able to get away just fine. But this Roshan can't go down. Both teams know it's up, know they can spot it out if the other team goes for it. And CVP are forced to back up, but I don't think they can afford to back up too far. They can't give this Roshan to CNB.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they really shouldn't, but they're going to almost certainly because there's nothing they can do about it. They don't have the one thing they could do. It's all on Rarsum's shoulders. He must take the ring to Mordor himself because he's got that epicenter. That's their only significant big AoE. So it's all on Rarsum. He's got to land a huge epicenter. That's the only way they can possibly take a team fight here in any sort of capacity. And they're going to give up the Aegis and completely just back out. So so much for taking the ring to Mordor. Rarsum is just going to hang out in the Shire for a little while and cry till the orcs come knocking on his door, which won't take very long.
It's rough because all paths for CVP are not as good as what CNB has. So look at their team fight. CNB wins that with their team fight. Look at their carry late game. CNB wins that in that regard as well. So I think it's just going to take like some really bad team fights for CNB. I think you at this point almost have to hope that your opponent missteps in the game somehow, because it's gotten to that point where CVP is just getting really far behind and CNB beats them at every point of this game. The gold graphs are already 10k in favor of them. The XP graphs also 10k in favor of them. And then on top of that, they have Roshan that they just finished up. So they have Aegis available. They don't really have much fear at this point.
Look, have you been watching this Radiant side? Watch, just go to the tier 3 mid and just hold your camera there for a few minutes. This picture that you're seeing, that's what's been happening the entire time you were just talking. They've been walking back and forth, just kind of moping, 4 or 5 heroes at a time on this high ground. The creeps got this close to them, and they didn't feel safe going out. The Doombringer actually started to go out, turned around, looked at his buddies, and went, "Oh no, I don't think it's safe. I would
like to hear the team chat at this point. Is it Shredder that's like, okay guys, let's go in, and everybody else is like, no Shredder, don't do it. Don't give your life away. I would like to see, because I think there's definitely some inner turmoil going on, but they do smoke up. So maybe they can get the jump onto Nyx is here, so Ted just is going to expose them immediately. They might be able to get the kill on Ned, but it's not going to matter. The response comes on through. 40R just doing a lot of damage to Rarsum. He can't even get his ultimate off. Channels it up, but it gets canceled, so he can't even blink in. Newsom is living long enough to deal some damage, but the rest of his team is backing up. They have to try and at least fight in their base at this point.
Yeah, they've got to back up. Try to get some of these quill stacks off of them, too. Buy themselves a little bit of time, because the next fight is going to continue to sustain. They're going to immediately use the glyph, which is a huge mistake. You got to save it at least a little bit to make sure that the creeps are going to be attacking, because they did pull the creeps off. Now they don't have the glyph for when this next wave of creeps comes up. There's going to be a guaranteed tower, probably a guaranteed Rax, as they are trying to move in here. The Quills are going out. The negative armor going out, and Shredder's already low on armor. He's probably going to go down here. No, the Mecha's actually going to get him back up in shape as the Bat Rider's forced back. And CNB using a lot of self-control here, not diving heroes. Rarsum's going to try to get himself a 4DR. Will he grab it? Nope, he will not. He's forced to back out. And there's going to be the Aegis. Nusham now coming and trying to get himself an Invoker, but there is going to be an immediate death for him. Invoker will end up going down. See Nasty next on chopping block. He gets taken out as the last one goes out on 4DR. 4DR trying to make himself away, but he is being held still. He throws the BKB up, and he's just auto-attacking. He doesn't even care. He's just going to stand in it, because why not? Why not if you're Drow Ranger? Just let him kill you. It doesn't matter. Ned's just going to walk in. What is happening? Ned just walks into 3, grabs a kill. He doesn't even care that he's just about guaranteed to die here. That was hubris of the... That was the sort of hubris that Old Testament God strikes people down for. Whole nations have fallen in Testament because of what CNB just did. And all it cost them was 1,000 gold of their lead.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't even matter. They got the racks, they got the tower, they lost 4 of their heroes, but they're just chipping away at CVP's base and their heroes that they're securing the late game. Even if they're losing heroes, they're still securing the late game. They have buybacks, they have the farm. Doom is getting some decent farm, just with, you know, being Doombringer, having the Midas. He does get decent enough farm, and the track gold has been helping him out a little bit. So I feel like he's doing a decent job staying up there with the Drow Ranger. But look at the rest of CNB's heroes. They all have really good farm. Even the Nyx, who's kind of been roaming around and giving his life away at certain points of this game, he's still getting, he's at 5k gold. So he's still down there with the supports. But the rest of the heroes are up there, and they're doing just fine. So still, despite all of CNB almost dying there, I don't think it was really that big of a win for CVP.
No, it was definitely a loss for CBP. It just wasn't a game loss for CBP. And any minute, any engagement that they have where they haven't lost the game because of it is honestly a big win for them at this stage, because they are just dragging out their moment in the spotlight. And it's really a shame too, because Magnets and Pepperoni are a strong team here. They are not bottom of the pack. They're certainly not doing the tip top. You know, they're not one of these semi-professional teams that we have in Dota. They're not one of the professional teams that we have in Dota. But they are a strong community team that has been performing fairly well throughout CEVO. And some of their players are actually really, really good throughout both this and other tournaments. We just seem to have caught them that after that first game, they just came in frustrated and flustered. They drafted kind of weird. They went in for a pocket strategy that's totally not working out. And it's just, they're being punished too much, as Rarsum is just going to walk right into Ned. Ned doesn't even care. He throws up his Spike Carapace and just moves in. Kinetic Field goes down, and the Meteor smashes the crab on the beach. Look at that. We're having lobster for dinner. Yeah, that was
absolutely brutal.
Oh, and yeah, CBP, 3 heroes walk into 1, and somehow, all of a sudden, everybody on CNB just engages on them without any regard for the general personal safety of any of their members. It's like they have a hive mind. None of them care if they die anymore. They're so far ahead, they're literally just like, die for the motherland, and just running in and blowing up. They're practically suicide bombers at this stage.
They can do it. They honestly can. And I feel like it comes down to the draft for CVP. I just think it wasn't exactly a strong draft lineup for them. It didn't really counter anything that CNB has. They can try and counter some of the team fight with the Doom by silencing out the Invoker or the Disruptor. But in the long run, they just didn't really have anything to deal with the rest of CNB's heroes. And the play was sloppy at points into this game, especially on C Nasty's part. But even C Nasty dying so much on the top lane, I don't think was a huge factor. Yes, it fed Drow a little bit, but it didn't really stop C Nasty too much. He almost has his BKB finished up. It is quite late, but I don't think that's why they lost this game. But now that he gets lassoed back, but gets stunned out from the lasso, or from the Spiked Carapace rather. But he lives. He's going to be just fine. The reinforcements come in to save his life. And now they use Lasso, and this push is coming through, and that's going to be something that they really needed to help defend against this.
Yeah, that was a really nice play out of that Nyx assassin. Use the Force Strike to disjoint the Soul Catcher there. Was just perfect play. And That's the sort of little nuance that hasn't really been a big factor in this game because of how far behind CBP is. But it is always nice to see. Newsham going to come in here, try to use it, but 4DR has the BKB up and is absolutely just wrecking face. Rarsum going to go down next on the list. Newsham potentially. He's going to throw out a soul assumption, but he's going to die for it. He should have not turned around. Don't stutter step, bud. Just save yourself. See, Nasty will get teleported back to the fountain, but Naro's going to follow him in, and it will end up being disjointed. But Invoker might go down to the Doombringer here. Field goes up to protect him, but the Doombringer does have that BKB. It is going to expire. He will go down, but he manages to grab one kill to buy back immediately from the Invoker, who is using his scroll TP to come to the tier 2 and try to run as fast as he can. He doesn't want to miss the party.
It's definitely a party. Marching into the base, you have a location to do it. And yeah, GG is called. I think we all kind of expected this here pretty soon, but just a rough game for CBP. And it's weird because I felt like they played really, really well the first game, but they didn't have the heroes this game to play as well as they did last time.
Yeah, so that is the end of this series, but we will have more CEVO coming at you guys all week long. If you want to stay in touch with CEVO, go ahead and pick up the in-game ticket. In addition, we want to announce the Voss V Invitational, where we have 3 qualifying teams going up against professional teams such as Revenge eSports, eHug, and of course Voss V themselves. That's going to be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It is for a couple $100 prize. Should be a really big, really fun tournament that we're very excited to be in partnership with here at CEVO. That being said, stop by either twitch.tv/playcevo1 or stop by with an in-game ticket on that Voss V, and with, of course, our own tournament here at CEVO. My name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow, and it's been my pleasure to cast you guys tonight. You can catch me on Twitter at GotCowDota, and of course, joined by Prove Attitude.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Prove DOTA on Twitter as well, and make sure you follow the CEVO Twitter also. You can find that at CEVO. So thanks a lot for joining us, guys. Shout out to my normal co-caster ever. Unfortunately, couldn't join us today, and I'm sure he really wanted to cast. But Gorgon, it has been a pleasure. It was great casting with you, and it's good to branch out to other casters, and hopefully in the future we can do some more casts together. But this is it for today, guys.
This is our first time casting together, isn't it?
It is. It's exciting.
That's weird because we've worked at CEVO together for months now.
Yeah,
so
it has been a while.
You and Ever, the only 2 that I haven't actually cast with up till this point. So now I just have 1 left to knock off my to-do list, my bucket list of casters at CEVO.
Yeah, Ever and I are pretty tight. We try and just like almost exclusively cast together, but I don't know. It's just kind of the friendship that we have. But it works out. But it's great to cast with you, and I would like to cast with some other casters on top of that. But you guys, that is it for tonight. Also, make sure you join us tomorrow on PlayCEVO-1. I believe we should have that Revenge versus eHug game coming up, and that's going to be something you don't want to miss. Oh yeah, I was so disappointed that we couldn't cast it today because I was so looking forward to it.
Yeah, I will make sure personally that goes up. If Chicago Ted is still feeling ill, I will come back for another off day just to make sure that Revenge and eHug is on here, because that's going to be an amazing series. All right, that being said, yeah, for CEVO and for Prove, this is Gorgon signing.